Labour is getting desperate. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian Heiser here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Sorry it's been so long since my last video, but you know, work and life happens. Grab your hashtag not sponsored cheap coffee. And I want to talk about an article here which is an example of Labour's desperation. Now we're coming up to another election cycle. And well, let's just say, you know, everyone's, the arguments that it wouldn't be easy under Albanese have proven quite true, and people just don't want a bar of it. And so they're trying to do character assassinations and attacks on Dutton, the only viable opposition candidate that is becoming more popular in the polls. And we probably need more bald men running the country, I think. Good idea. Nevertheless, let's have a look at this article here and have a little bit of a chat about it. So, Peter Dutton's highly unusual GFC. So this isn't even from the bloody pandemic. This is from back at the global financial crisis. Share trade is in Labour's sights, and written by Samantha Maiden. And she seems to be churning out a lot of these articles attacking Dutton, probably because it's well, entertaining. And here's the thing. Okay, what share trade did he do? He bought some Combank shares or some bank shares. And he hadn't bought them for years before, so he must have insider information using his political power and his intelligence to get the perfect timing to buy these shares. Now, I saw this and I just think this is just bullshit. Okay, this is just bullshit. Because here's the reality of the situation. You know what? We'll go back here to the... Here's the reality of it, guys. Now, particularly on this channel and other channels, we're frustrated with some of the aspects of Australia. You know, we wish it was perhaps a little bit less leaning towards government intervention in our lives. Maybe the market was a bit freer. You know, maybe a little less discrimination in employment selection. A lot of these things that, particularly those of us that were born in the 80s, were taught was wrong, is now just being pushed in the mainstream. But here's one thing that is never going to change. Australia, well, look at our stock market. Australia is going to back the banks no matter what. No matter which government is in power, they want the status quo. Australians want the status quo. We're not an adventurous people. We're not a nation that was formed out of a valiant or a battle and struggle against an oppressive colonial overlord. I think people handed out pamphlets. Australians like the status quo. Australians like their governments being nice and stable. Australians want stability. This is why we are one of the most regulated countries in the bloody world. The amount of red tapes and hoops you've got to jump through. The number of times we see on the media where someone is going and complaining to the government that they got conned about something or they got captured, they made a mistake. An individual made their own mistake investing with someone, but the government didn't regulate it well enough, so it's the government's responsibility. Look at the pyramid building society in Victoria, what happened there, offering all these returns that were just too good to be true, and they were, and it collapsed and it went under. People got paid. I think it was just a few years one of the levies finally ended to pay off all of the people who got caught up in that. Now, if our future Prime Minister did indeed invest in bank shares when they were quite low during the GFC, do you think that's a sign of insider trading or just experience? Realizing that Australia will make our governments and our leaders, and probably our citizens too, would happily make sacrifices to ensure the status quo is maintained, to ensure the banks are maintained. There's a reason why so many of our top companies on the ASX are the top 10. You've got banks and mining companies. That's our country right there. If you want to look at any country, just look at the top 10 companies on their markets. And you can see if they're an innovative country or if they're a real estate / quarry country. And that's what Australia is. I had a mate, remember during the pandemic, the shares were collapsing, everyone was terrified. The news media every other day, it was houses are going to hold. No. The RBA asked modeled a house price collapse of 40%. And, houses are crashing down, interest rates are going to shoot up again, and it was all a disaster. It was all fear, so much fear. And when people are investing with their emotions, they will make rash decisions. So people are just selling, getting out of the market, locking in a loss. My mate, he was borrowing money left, right, and center and just chucking it all in the market. He said his father told him, you have to stop. You need to stop doing this. And of course now, boom, right up. How many of you bought bank shares during the pandemic when it was right at the bottom? And how many of them are nice, fat, healthy capital gains? And still the dividend just flowing there, doing nothing. So I would hazard a guess that Dutton perhaps knows what Australia's like, knows what our governments are like, and knows that, well, they're going to be protected no matter what. So buying when they were low. How many of you did that? I did that during the pandemic. And we're talking about the GFC. It's even crazier. But you've also got to remember here in Australia, we've got such a regulated market. We don't have the exposure or the risk that the American banks had. There they were lending people money purely based on ideological reasons. If you were a particular race, they just sign off loans on you, just so the politicians could claim they achieved goals. And these poor people were stuck with these loans that they could never afford. They'd have these bullshit periods where it was a honeymoon repayment, and then it got real. And then, reality hit. Australia, we're so regulated. All our mortgages have got calculated buffers on them. You've got to jump through all these hoops. You've got to get insurance to protect the banks if your deposit isn't large enough. So yeah, this article, and we'll see more of them, it's a sign of Labor's desperation. They're attacking Dutton because a lot of the younger people may not appreciate the reality of Australia, that no matter which party you have in charge, which of the major two, that they're going to back the banks. Housing and property is such an important part of our economy. People want stability. They don't want affordable housing. As much as people say they do, it's all bullshit. You can see what the not in my backyard crowd is. Everyone likes feeling like they're a property genius with their houses going up. And it's always been a pain in the ass for people to get into property in Australia. It's not going to change. If anything, it may get a little worse. But that's how it is. And this is showing you just how desperate they are. They're trying to play on your jealousy. That, oh, look how much, there's something there. And it's bullshit, guys. Okay? It's bullshit. If anything, learn from what Dutton's done. How he's timed the market in a rare circumstance. I'm a proponent of time in the market. Peter Dutton slams Albanese dirt unit. Well, yeah, they're getting desperate. Now, young people, you can either fall for this because they're playing on your jealousy, they're playing on your naivety, and they're fudging reality a little bit to paint a picture. And this is what leftists do. They're very emotionally based, where the more conservatives they seem a lot harsher because, well, they live in reality. So what do you reckon, guys? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts on this one. I see this as a sign of Albanese getting desperate. I think it's a bit pathetic, really, that we're starting to see these type of games here. Let's have a bit of a chat, guys. So I'm hoping young people won't fall for this. I would like a mixed conservative coalition government with some minor parties in there to mix it up a bit. We need a shift to more right-leaning politicians because the Overton window has shifted so far to the left. It is getting ludicrous. It is insane. Maybe this is the continuing death of woke. What do you reckon? They're getting desperate, though. I mean, who would vote for... People aren't going to vote for Albanese. They're only going to not vote for Dutton. Let me know your thoughts, guys. See you next time, and have a great day.